This is a organic chicken breast. It didn't cost that much money. The whole package did. Alright, the chicken has been washed to hot Italian sausage links going on the grill. Okay, I mentioned before, being Italian, this is kind of based on a thing from Johnny Carino's. Probably for most people of any ethnic food that they eat, Johnny Carino's, not a fan. Being Italian, I know Italian food, not a fan. The Olive Garden, not a fan. I eat there. The only thing, I think I've had 2 meals there that were meals. Other than that, I always get the soup and salad, because some of their soups are actually semi-decent. But I think when you do ethnic-y stuff, it's like, if you're Hispanic, you don't think Taco Bell's Mexican food. You know what I mean? It's just not. But I'm going to grill this up, and then we're going to do some stuff to the Italian kind of flair. I'll probably talk about that more. I don't cook a lot of Italian food in the RV because, well, again, I'll get into it, but and for me, sauce is something I make like in big quantities. I don't think I could make a small batch of sauce. I can't. I go by how I was raised to do it, and you have to make it a big deal. And somebody asked me in a video that I call it sauce and I don't call it gravy. Both sides of my family are Italian. No one in my family, really no one I knew until I got a little bit older, I'd never met anybody that called it gravy. I knew that some people did, but the couple people that I met that called it gravy were from Boston and not New York. But I think some New Yorkers call it gravy. To me, gravy is that brown stuff you put on meat, you know, or maybe tan stuff you put on turkey. Although I will say, I've gone overseas a couple times. There's not much better than putting gravy on French fries instead of ketchup. Big fan of that. I think in one video I did, when I was in the UP, I actually did that. It's good stuff. Okay, there we go. That's green pepper. You can use green pepper, red pepper, orange pepper, whatever you want to use. I use green pepper. Why did I use green pepper? Because it was cheaper. I think at Johnny Carino's, or maybe now it's just called Carino's, they call this Skilletini, is where I'm going. About 2/3 of a green pepper, and this is about 2/3 of a onion. And I'm not going to chop it up real small, and I'm going to put it in the frying pan with the other stuff. Now you can add whatever you got, whatever you want. I'm adding what I got, so it's just going to be green peppers and onions in there. And we'll go check the grill. And we're going to boil water to make pasta. And I'm going to add a couple cloves of garlic in there. Alright, the water's going. It's boiling. And I got this. I haven't tried it before. Smaller size. You don't have to break it. I saw it. I thought it was good for in the RV. You know, take up less space. Alright, let me get some salt in there. We're going to use garlic salt. And I've gotten in this argument with people on putting oil in the water. A lot of people think, oh, you don't need oil, it doesn't do any good. My family's Italian, they always used oil, I'm using oil. And get this going. It might not be enough, I might need more. I'm hungry. Alright. 10 minutes, we'll be back. The sausage is done, so what we're going to do, we're going to cut it down. Yeah. Good stuff. Alright, we're almost there. Taste it. Yep, it's about done. So we're going to take this pasta off, and we're going to put this on. I'll strain the pasta. I'm going to put the sausage in. Because I want the veggies, the onions and the green peppers to actually be a little bit crispy. Chicken off. Let's cut that down and add it in. I won't make you watch it. Alright, the chicken's in now too. I'll let that keep cooking. Be right back. Okay, crushed red pepper. Relatively liberally. A little bit more, because I like it. Do a little sriracha, not a lot. Sriracha. Now the part, can't tell my grandmother. My grandmother would kill me, but this is some jarred marinara. She would disown me. Alright. I'll put the pasta in. Alright, a little bit more marinara. This isn't like a heavy sauce dish. A bit more crushed red pepper. Again, it's embarrassing to use the jar. Even though my grandmother's sauce is something I'll never share on YouTube, even though it's really not a complicated sauce. It's just, again, I think it's the whole ethnic thing. If you like sauce out of a jar, first, I don't understand. I can be a sauce snob too, but again, hers is very simple. But I think, like with other, again, I'm going to go on with other ethnic things. I think it's probably true that family members that make the same sauce, it's different. You can tell whose is who, and they can make the exact same recipe. It's just weird. It never comes out exactly right. My version of hers is pretty close, except I use more garlic than she does. She's not a garlic fan. But it's the pans too. If you're a germaphobe or one of those people that worries about every little speck of anything, then good Italian cooks, you probably wouldn't like them, because in my opinion, the uglier the outside of their pan is and beat up and banged, you know, there's people that have pans that are like passed down generation after generation, 50-year-old pasta pans, you know. That's where your flavor comes from. On my father's side, the Italian on my father's side, my pop, who was my great-grandfather, lived to be over 100. I remember as a little kid, he was a chef. He was an Italian chef, and I remember watching him and then some other relatives too. You know, the old school stuff, making pasta from scratch. I have a vivid memory. I couldn't have been many more than 5 years old of watching him making homemade raviolis. And that goes back to the other thing, the people that are so germ conscious. Back in the day, that's what your kitchen table was for. They'd make pasta then, and I'd always get yelled at, don't go in the kitchen or drying pasta. There'd be pasta hanging everywhere. That's living. I long for those days. Like I said, food is like a time machine. But this won't bring me any time machine moment at all. It's nothing like anything I've ever had, but Italian food, it's about as good as it gets. That's why, you know, I make all these cooking videos, because, and first of all, you have to know, I get compliments on here, which I very much appreciate. I can't cook for beans. Any family member that can actually cook, watch my cooking videos, they would yell at me. My grandmother always yelled at me anyways, and sometimes I remember to do it and sometimes I don't. Simple things like adding ingredients, like adding salt, adding pepper, adding parsley, adding whatever. I go by feel, but her feel was always you put it in your hand, so you get a feel for it before you put it in a dish. Everything that you put into a pan, you should put into your hand first. That's the right way to do it. But I oftentimes don't. I usually don't. Alright, let's go plate. Let's plate this up. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but I changed my t-shirt. That was my good No Name Pub t-shirt from Key West, and I don't want to mess it up. So this is quick and easy. Skilletini, hot sausage. Mm-hmm. That's not bad. Now when I eat, oh, good amount of pepper, good job. Onion, chicken. That's a pretty good meal. Now when I get thinking of real cooking, because at my house as I got older, and we go back for Christmas, I was the one that wanted the whole, because we would always do Italian Christmas, we call it Dago Christmas. And I would make brajol, this stuffed pepper thing I make that actually when I was married, if I was in trouble, I didn't buy flowers. I would make her those stuffed peppers that I make that I won't share on YouTube, the recipe. It's a personal secret, but that would get me out of trouble. Far better than roses. I bought roses when I was in a good mood. I made stuffed peppers when I was in trouble. But, you know, I watch a lot of cooking shows, and one guy I actually like Gordon Ramsay. But I was watching one show, and he was doing an Italian restaurant, and he was having a fight between the head chef and the second chef. So he made a contest between them and had them both make a pasta dish. Now Gordon Ramsay, first, men make great chefs, women are better cooks. And I tried to cook like a woman, if that makes any sense. A woman will make a good hearty meal with a bunch of flavor, and most guys that are chef want to get all foo-foo and fancy and forget that aspect of food. From what I've seen, most male chefs approach it as a science, as a technical endeavor, and women tend, in my opinion, to cook from the heart more. But on this episode, Gordon Ramsay, he challenged them to a challenge, and the guy made meatballs. And I will tell you this without any doubt, my grandmother on my mother's side, her and her sister were both very good cooks. Her sister probably a little bit better, to be honest, even though my grandmother ran a restaurant. But my grandmother made the best meatballs you've ever had in your life, and I'm pretty darn close. I can make her meatballs pretty darn close. On the show, I don't want to give Gordon a hard time because, you know, he's British and I've been there. I'm sure he's a good cook, but his heritage doesn't have much to brag about. Sorry to any of my British friends out there. I'm assuming the food has gotten better, but when I was there it was pretty nasty. But anyways, long ramble. The guy made meatballs, and he made them the way my grandmother made meatballs and the way I make meatballs. You cook them in the sauce. Her sister would bake them and then put them in the sauce. My grandmother always cooked them in the sauce. And Gordon lost his mind over that, because to me, he didn't know what he was talking about. When you make a sauce, a real sauce, it cooks like all day long. And you can cook your meatballs in it because it's going to cook all day and they're going to get cooked through. I don't know how often I was sent in to skim the fat, you know, skim the sauce. Go skim the sauce. Anytime where were you? I was in the kitchen. Did you skim the sauce? You know, it was just how we grew up. But you cook a sauce all day long and cook your meatballs in it. Oh, Maron. My grandmother made the best meatballs in the world. You could tell she taught me, but you could usually tell, like I said before, you can tell a little bit of difference from people cooking the exact same thing. But it's a good meal. Sauce is sauce, it's not gravy. From everybody I've ever known. And I'll tell you, my grandmother's cousin, whatever that makes her to me, oh, that woman could cook. And she had the most beautiful beat up pans, like I told you before. And every now and then we'd get lucky and go there on Sunday, because they did Sunday the way I was trying to get our Christmas to be, just everybody cooking like crazy. And she had 4 daughters. We were over there Sunday and they all brought a dish. Oh my God. If you guys ever watch my videos and think, man, he eats a lot, you should have seen me that day. It should have been embarrassing. 165-pound guy eating about 165 pounds worth of great Italian food. The meals I do on YouTube when RVing, first they're RV meals, and I try to make them very simple. So I do hope you enjoy them. And this was easy. You know, you just boiling up some pasta, cooking up some hot sausage. You can add shrimp. You could, you know, whatever meat you want to put in there. Okay. I'll be nice. I won't give you my grandmother's whole sauce recipe, but the secret, pork. As I told you she did with the meatballs, she put pork in there and cooked it all day with it. It makes it amazing. Okay, YouTubers, have a great and wonderful day while I enjoy this. I'm trying to force myself down memory lane, even though this doesn't take me there. And again, shh, don't tell my grandmother I use jarred sauce. She's 90, but she'd still beat my ass.